Down big, the Astros erupted for 8 runs and saved their week, but the issues are still there, and now the spotlight shifts to Tatsuya Imai.
Yainer Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Heisman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chansey.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into a bonus edition of Locked On Astros. I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. You know where to find me at H-Town Wheelhouse. Eric and I run this show. We've run it together for 6 years. We have a combined 18 years on the mic, and we are a part of Locked On, the number one sports podcasting network in America. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. During the tournament, FanDuel is offering $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. Head to FanDuel.com to get started today. Thank y'all for tuning in. What an exciting game. I mean, look, Michael Connor came in. I hope you gave him some love over there on the postcast, as he's going to be here every single night, every single game, all week long. And look, the team did what they needed to do, but this is what we're going to do in our 3 segments. Our final segment is going to be about Tatsuya Imai and his major league debut. Okay. In our second segment, we're going to be talking about the problems still sitting there. There are problems that still need to be addressed going forward. And in our first segment, leading off, we are going to go over the comeback of that saved opening week. What a game. I was sitting here watching the game, watching it almost lethargically. I don't know if you guys and gals were in that same boat, but the Astros were literally staring down the barrel of an 0-3 start, and just like that, baseball happened. Look, if you want to be surprised and you don't know the plot and how the story ends, just go to a baseball game. I promise you, it won't end up the way that you thought it would. They come out of nowhere with 11 runs, and it all started with being down by 6 runs by the 5th inning. The Angels, up to this point, had controlled every inning. The Astros didn't have a single lead until they took the lead in this inning in the game. I mean, it was unreal. So what was the spark that got things started? Isaac Paredes got a 2-run double, and he gets the Astros on the board early. He narrowly missed a home run. He actually narrowly missed a couple home runs today when he flied out earlier in the game. If you can imagine, Paredes was supposed to have 5 RBIs in this game before this explosion happened total. And I mean, this game they would have had 14 or 15 runs had that happened. Immediately followed by the 2-run double, you had Carlos Correa's RBI single. That cuts the lead 6-3. The momentum kind of starts to shift. And then you have the 6th inning avalanche. This proved to us, now this is from Christian Walker, and this is what Christian Walker said after the game to the media. He said, this proved to us what we knew we were capable of. Last night, speaking of Friday night's game, we hit balls hard. So it's good to get this thing going. Our hitters let the pitcher get into trouble. We were aggressive and they were aggressive when they needed it. That's a bit of a paraphrase of his exact quote. I wouldn't be able to fit his entire quote in there. But basically, Christian Walker was the guy that there was a lot of attention put to, because last year, we know the story of Christian Walker. Signs with the Astros, a lot of hype, a lot of nothing burger in the first half. Second half comes on strong. Everybody forgets that second half. In the offseason, are they going to trade him? No, they're going to keep him. He only hits like 1 or 2 home runs. I was even critical of that in spring. I didn't know where he would go. But what's crazy is the 8 runs in 1 inning is the most runs by the Astros in 1 inning since July 4th versus the Dodgers last year. They did it with 2 outs. This is a key point. They did it with multiple Angels errors. And let me tell you why that's important. Because you got to capitalize when the other team makes mistakes. And how many times have we seen the Astros, when they're struggling offensively, not take advantage of opportunities, right? They had walks and wild pitches. They were forcing the pitcher to make mistakes. Now, what I love is one of the most Astros things to ever happen in any game is the way that this team gets RBIs. And if I can take you back to a season where Alex Bregman, not once but twice, got 2 infield singles, turned them into RBIs, the same thing happened with Carlos Correa. And I'm going to give you the official stats on Carlos Correa's monstrous hit. It went a distance, of 1 foot. The exit velocity was 68.4 miles an hour. It had a launch angle of negative 69 degrees and 2 runs scored off of it. If that isn't the most Astros thing that I have ever seen, I don't know what is. I mean, again, 2 outs, multiple Angels errors. In the key moments, Correa's infield RBI tapper, which is high-pressure baseball. Throwing error brings in the tie-in run. Christian Walker gives the Astros their first lead of the season. I think of all people to give the Astros a lead, Christian Walker, it simply makes sense for him to be that guy. Then Yainer Diaz, a clutch 2 RBI single. Yeah, it was only 85.6 off the bat, and it was kind of a pinball spin, but it was in between the fielders, and it was key. And I had just got through reading an entire wall. My TL was filled with Yainer Diaz is terrible. Yainer Diaz has got to go. Yainer Diaz. And look, I know he's not been good. I'm not under any delusion just because I've had the opportunity to interview the guy, because I've talked with him. I've talked, with his people often throughout the last 3 years since he's been here. So I try not to let that cloud my vision of who he is. And he's been terrible the first 3 games. Up until this point, he's not been good. He literally struck out tonight on an at-bat where he didn't see a single strike. And when I say struck out, it was a swinging strike. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, they did everything they were supposed to. Oh, and Jake Meyers, 2-run double, seals it. I mean, everybody seemed to get involved tonight. That's what you have to have. I mean, I'm not saying in being excited about this offensive outpouring or recognizing Christian Walker hitting or Carlos Correa taking advantage of mistakes or Jake Meyers getting a hit, Yainer Diaz getting this RBI single. I'm not saying that all the problems are fixed. And in the second segment, we will talk about the problems that are still sitting there, okay? Because 1 game doesn't fix it all, but 2 games also don't lose it all. Now, I did talk on the bonus episode earlier on my H-Town 10-minute take about Joey Loperfido. Now, Joey Loperfido, though, these last 2 games, they were starting pitchers that were left-handed. Joey Loperfido typically isn't good against left-handers. When the right-hander came in, Joey Loperfido came in, and what did he do? He got a hit. So Loperfido's not a lefty-lefty master like Yordan Alvarez. When Yordan Alvarez against lefties, it doesn't matter. He still hits. And why this win matters. Number 1, you avoid the 0-3 narrative, the spiral, okay? It shows that this lineup can apply pressure and not just wait for home runs. Because if you're waiting for home runs from this offense, it is not going to be the calling card. This is not a power hitting team. What's crazy about that is you have 5 or 6 guys on this roster that are capable of hitting 20 or more home runs. Now, they actually have to do it. Being capable and doing it are 2 different things. If you looked at their BABIP, which is their batting average, basically independent of, balls and strikes, and the BABIP is kind of what they're supposed to be doing, what they should be doing. They were hitting into a lot of bad luck this series. This also is the first sign of life for the offense that looked stuck. They looked stuck. They looked lifeless. So this wasn't just a win. Maybe it's a reset button, because I don't know if you realize this, the Boston Red Sox are on deck, and they're coming in Monday. And Willer Abreu hit a game-winning shot today for the Red Sox, and the Red Sox have some pretty darn good pitching. They've got a pretty decent offense, and they also have some guys that really can pack a punch. But in our next segment, we're going to talk about the problem that is still sitting there when we return. The tournament is here, and one of the best times of the year. Brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets. It's nonstop action from tip-off to the final cutdown. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a new way to stay in the action all tournament long. You get up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. That means 10 chances to stay involved throughout the entire tournament. You can mix it up however you want. Game picks, futures, or even same-game parlays for bigger potential payouts. It's perfect for the tournament because every day there's something new, different matchups, new storylines, and more ways to get involved with as your bracket unfolds. So visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com to get in the action. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, and inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right person fills the job. You know that you are getting what you're looking for. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions do apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And if you never miss an episode, it's time to make it official. Join the Locked On Everydayer Club and get ad-free audio access to our members-only Discord and more. And it's all built for the most loyal fans. Click on the show links and go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club or lockedonastros.supercast.com. Today, we thank y'all for tuning in. Again, this is Brett Chansey. This is the Locked On Astros episode, part of the #1 Locked On Sports podcasting network on the planet. So let's talk about, you always have the good, the bad, and the ugly. And with baseball, there's a lot more ugly than good. Sometimes there's a lot more bad than good. But as I say, always positive, always Stros, right? So let's look at the ugly trend first. In the first two games, you were 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position, okay? Even in this win, you needed errors by the other team. You needed walks and chaos to break through. So that's what baseball is about sometimes. So, it was funny. Every time I mentioned a compliment, like great hit by Diaz or a great circumstances or, turn of events for Carlos Correa, everybody's always like, oh, but it's luck, but they're not really earning it. It's just happening. And I'm like, but that's what baseball is. The beauty of baseball is that you don't have to be good sometimes. Sometimes you have to be lucky. And I'm going to make a Game 7 World Series comment here. Do you realize how lucky the Dodgers were for Vargas to hit that home run? Do you realize how lucky it was for the Dodgers to have a guy that hit a home run that hadn't hit a home run all season from that side of the plate? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than to be good. And I would say that the team we saw in the first two games never took advantage of any opportunities given to them. Tonight, they pounced on them. So this offense is not executing clean situational hitting yet. Once they get to that point, all this other stuff we see today is icing on the cake. They seem to be too passive early. They were falling behind in the games, letting the opposing pitcher settle in. There was no early pressure. And so they were playing from behind the first two nights. And they played from behind tonight. They literally dug a bigger hole tonight than they did the other two games. I mean, game one was doable, was winnable. I think you go back to that game, maybe not 9 times out of 10, but at least 7 times out of 10, you win that game. And what changed in the rally was contact over power, okay? Putting the ball in play and forcing the Angels to make plays, and they didn't. It is always I have always heard this. I heard this as a kid. I hear good coaches talk about it. I hear college coaches talk about it. I hear professional coaches talk about it. If you put the ball in play, you give yourself a chance. Even an infield grounder, even a routine play can sometimes go awry. If you put the ball in play, you give yourself a chance, okay? Now, what needs to stick? Number one is situational hitting over hero ball. They need to be about situational hitting, not simply hero ball. Because if you're going to go with hero ball, you're going to be playing on a wing and a prayer every single night, and that is not going to cut it most of the time. It is okay to be lucky, better to be lucky than good every once in a while. That shouldn't be your season mantra. Tonight, the Astros were 7 for 20 with runners in scoring position. You went from 1 for 14 to 7 for 20. That's huge. So situational hitting, not hero ball. Number 2, traffic on the bases early. Now, if we look at this box score, they put up 2 big innings in the 5th and 6th inning. What did the Angels do? They created traffic early. They had runners on early. They scored in the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th inning. If you look at the night before, what they did, what did they do? They put traffic on bases early. The Angels scored 1 run and then 3 runs in the 2nd and 1 run in the 5th and then 1 run in the 9th. They won 6-2 the night before. So the Astros need to get traffic on the bases early. And number 3, shorten your swings with runners on. Get that bloop single. Get that ball out of the infield. Get that squeaky grounder in between those fielders. Do what you got to do. And so at the end of the day, it is about taking advantage of your opportunities, okay? So here are some key guys to watch. Number 1, Yordan Alvarez is still the engine that gets this thing going, but he needs protection around him. If you don't get protection around Yordan Alvarez, he is but one man. He's the man that defeated Robbie Ray. Yes, he is the man that turned the game upside down in Game 6 of the 2022 World Series, right? And then Jose Altuve. If he's going to be your leadoff guy while Jeremy Pena is out, he's got to be the guy. If he's not going to be the leadoff guy, wherever he is, he's got to set that table. Or if Jeremy Pena is your leadoff guy, he's got to set the table. And the bottom of the lineup, Meyers and Diaz. They showed that they can flip innings. Meyers, I've said it, I think other people have said it, is what Meyers did at the plate last year an outlier in the 290 range, or is that something he can build on and get closer to this year? Look, Meyers isn't here for his bat. He's here for his glove. But at the end, but at the end of the day, you actually have these guys, Yordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve, Jake Meyers, Yainer Diaz, all these guys. 3 or 4 of these guys, get them going. Christian Walker, huge. David's asking me, Brett, do you see the new names in the chat from last year? Or see new names in the chat from last year? Yes, I do see new names. I see a few. I think producer 3608 is new. Jackson Shivers, I don't think is new. I see a lot of the OGs. I believe Gray Knight 44 is not new. I know I have seen some new names, but it looks like we got a bunch of OGs in here, man. If you're new to the show, if you found our show this week, let me know. Put new to the show this year. Let me know in the comments. Shamrock has a good comment here. He says, we hit a lot of balls to the warning track. You know what? I know that's huge because if you hit to the warning track on the Crawford box side, that's typically a home run, right? I am an OH, or I don't even know what that means. Okay. Sean says LFG. We all know what that means. But this is what I want to say. The Astros proved that they can score. Joey Loperfido was the spark. Look at this. Joey Cooks Lopes was the spark. Noah Meza says, is it Maez or Meza? I don't want to butcher your name, sir. But the Astros proved they can score. Now they've got to prove that they can do it before they're down by 6. Okay. Michael brings up a great point. They need to stop challenging calls early in the game. Yes. Oh, look at this. And Luke has been here since the Hooters and Built Bars. Now, if y'all don't know that reference, you don't understand. Hooters was one of our main sponsors a couple seasons ago. Built Bars was a major sponsor with us no longer. I mean, they haven't been our sponsor in a while. But anyways, at the end of the day, look, this was a great game. And what I want to do is next, I want to tackle the Tatsuya Imai debut coming up on Sunday when we return. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood Markets. It's not just you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood Prediction Markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but I've never really had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk, and it is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant swap firm. All right, thank y'all for tuning in. I'm Brett Chansey, and I'm one half of Locked On Astros. Eric Van Heisman isn't here. I didn't even call him to bother him about this. I'm assuming it was late. He works late nights, and I was giving him a rest. I was just too pumped to do this. I actually earlier before this went on a friend's show called the Crawford Chronicles. Go check those guys out. They do a phenomenal job over there. Yes, Jay, I do have a big responsibility tomorrow, don't I? Well, let's get into it. The all eyes shift to Tatsuya Imai, and this isn't just another debut. This is massive, okay? He makes his major league debut versus the Angels. You know, if you remember back, for those of y'all who aren't familiar with it, he signed a 3-year, $54 million deal. There are opt-outs after each season. The goal for the Astros is to keep him here. His dominance was in the NPB, which is the Japanese Baseball League, where Yoshi Yamamoto came from, which he actually outdueled when he was there. Shohei Ohtani, and then Murakami came from, and then there's a couple other players in the league throughout the history of MLB. I certainly cannot name them all off the top of my head. No, Eric, I don't know. Eric might be working in the lab right now, but in 2025 in the NPB, Tatsuya Imai had a 1.92 ERA, had 178 strikeouts on 163.2 innings. He really had ace level production. His last 3 seasons, his ERA was under 3 each of those years, and he had averaged more than a strikeout per inning. He actually threw a combined no-hitter. So he is definitely a frontline guy coming in at a number 4 slot. Now, what is his stuff breakdown and what does he look like? Something feels off without Doobie. Oh, man, Doobie's out there. Look, Michael mentioned something feels off without Doobie. Maybe that's what was missing, right? Maybe that's what was missing the first couple of games. But, we wish him well. He's actually doing quite well in Atlanta. So the stuff breakdown for Tatsuya Imai is his fastball can touch the upper 90s. His slider is a wipeout pitch. He has a 46% whiff rate on that from his past pitching ventures outside of the U.S., that is. His splitter, teammates say they've never seen anything like it. The deception plus the swing and miss stuff is a real MLB weapon. And I even mentioned this when Eric and I were able to go live on 97.5 ESPN on opening day. That was a phenomenal experience. I just recalled how everybody in Major League Baseball wanted Tatsuya Imai on their team. All the fans were like, we want him. Let's get him. Let's sign him. And then the second the Astros signed him, they were like, oh, he sucks. He's not that good. Oh, he's not really that, there's a bunch of hype, but he's not that great. And I'm like, whatever. Now, the question is, and what we'll see tomorrow is, how does it translate? How does this stuff translate to MLB hitters? And like Trout, just warning to the league, I think the Astros have awakened Mike Trout. Mike Trout is off to probably the best start that he's been off to in a long time, if ever. 9 at-bats, 556 batting average, 2 home runs, 3 RBI, 1 stolen base. This is a guy that is a career 294 hitter. He's amassed 406 home runs. And look, for Mike Trout's sake, I hope Mike Trout is healthy, and I'm not worried about the Angels. So Mike Trout can have an MVP type season. I don't care, but the league has been warned. And Tatsuya Imai has a formidable opponent. And the good thing about Imai's, about his pitches that move, is he has a lot of high inside run on his pitches that tend to jam and confound right-handed hitters. So that is definitely a good thing. All right. Again, does his stuff translate? Number 2, the command, the nerves, and adrenaline. So what kind of command is he going to have? You take the nerves, you take the adrenaline. What's going to happen? How long before? Honestly, Jay asked a question, how long before Trout is injured? I think that Mike Trout is going to be healthy all year. I'm just going to make that prediction. Okay. But how does his stuff work when the nerves are there, when the adrenaline's there, and why does it matter? Well, it matters that Tatsuya Imai is successful, number 1, to help sustain the team and help them have success. But if he hits, in other words, if he hits as a key piece, he's not just a piece, he's a difference maker. If he struggles, the pressure then shifts back onto the bullpen and the young arms. Now, I would say, looking at Hunter Brown, he'll get fine-tuned. His next start, he'll come out a little sharper. Remember, didn't give up many runs. Then you had Burrows give up 5. Then you had Christian Javier give up 6. You can't have that from your starters. You can't have your bullpen exhausted. Now, Brian Abreu came in. I haven't talked about that. Gave up the runs, gave up the home run. Am I worried about Brian Abreu as a closer? No. They have 4 guys that legitimately could slide into a closer role if called upon. You have your top 2 choices in Brian Abreu and Brian King. I believe, and it's my opinion, that Okert and Blue Ball could also slide into a closer type role if needed. Now, I'm not saying they're closers, but those are 4 guys that legitimately could be in there. Someone said bad predictions for Brett. I don't understand what that means. Johnny Johnson, explain yourself, sir. So Tatsuya Imai, the shift focuses to him. We covered tonight the problem still sitting there, and then the comeback that is saving opening week, which is definitely this game tonight. But you know what? I'm going to have to say sayonara or adios and just say, see you tomorrow. Why? Because I'm going to go to bed with visions of Astros winning baseball games in my head. I am so excited. I'm glad that you guys and girls came in, sat down, chilled out. Mama Wheelhouse was here. All the OGs were here. Elbow, David, Tej, Jay, Luke. Politically Incorrect was in here. So many. Shamrock. I mean, if I'm missing you, Noah, if I'm missing you, I'm sorry. There's someone that has a name that I can't really repeat. But hey, thank y'all for tuning in. from myself, from Eric the Man Heisman, and, everybody here at Locked On Astros, we want to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. And again, join the Everydayer Club. You can get ad-free audio and a members-only Discord when you go to lockedonastros.supercast.com. Join us there. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow. Go Stros.